What is up, guys? My name of course is Carlo. Welcome yet to another video, and a quite in-depth look video at the Blackmagic Cinema Camera, which is what I have here. So this is sort of like an opening segment to this video. I'm going to run down a couple of quick things about who this camera's for, what this camera's for, and what is the customer base for this camera. I think it's quite important because a lot of people out there, especially on YouTube, that I've seen, are comparing it to things like DSLRs and stuff like that, which, yeah, it is an upgrade from a DSLR, a massive upgrade from a DSLR, but it's nothing like a DSLR in general. So let's look at some pointers and look at some facts about this camera. We're gonna, in this video, we're gonna go over the menu system. We're gonna get some shots with it. We're gonna take it outside for that and do some bits and bobs with it. But the most important thing is, I've seen a lot of people say, look, I want to get upgrade my DSLR. I've got like a Canon, I don't know, 80D or whatever they're using, a Canon 5D Mark IV, Mark III, which they're shooting films on at the moment, short films on, and I want to upgrade to the Blackmagic Cinema Camera, which is absolutely fine. It's a massive upgrade in my eyes. It is designed to shoot cinema film or create cinematic films. But it's not the same as a DSLR. This thing is no way the same as a DSLR. For start with a DSLR, you shoot onto SD cards. This thing you shoot onto SSDs. The file size over DSLRs compared to this is fine. The file sizes on this are absolutely insane. They're long, and I've seen a lot of people put these cameras on eBay for like 1,500 quid, 1,300 quid, 1,400 quid, because what they do is they buy it not realising what they're buying and what they have to do to adapt to get this camera to work at optimal performance, which is quite like, really sort of situation. A lot of people buy these and expect, you know, pick it up, hold it, go around Disneyland with it, shoot their films or their family videos, and come home. Which you can do, but at a heavy cost. This is not the same as a DSLR, bar none. DSLR is quite easy because you put your little SD card in, put your shoulder strap in, take your camera around, take your pictures, shoot your videos, whether you're on a, you know, GorillaPod or whatever, shoot your bits and pieces, take it home, put it in your MacBook, the SD card, or into your Mac or your computer, transfer it over, edit in Final Cut and Premiere Pro, and you got your little, you know, your holiday video. This is totally different in many ways, because this requires a lot more work in post. This is not just getting the camera, shooting video with it, putting it on the computer, editing it, and done. No, it doesn't work like that. For start, file sizes, okay, they're absolutely humongous. You need a good amount of SSDs for this machine. You know, one SSD is not really going to cut it if you're shooting a feature film in general. If you're shooting a short film and you've got like a 1 terabyte hard drive, which is what I've got in here, I've got 1 terabyte SSD, then absolutely fine. But I do recommend you have, if you've got 1 terabyte, buy another 1 terabyte, so you've always got a backup. Or if you buy like a 256 gigabyte SSD, buy a couple and spread your workflow over, so if one drive crashes, you've got another drive to fall back on, because you don't want to be on location or at a professional shoot with a client and then the only thing holding you back is that your SSD's just died. So that's one thing to take into consideration. Also, the length of recording. Now, I've done this to the T, and I've done quite a few tests with this camera, memory wise, and it worked out at 1 minute 56 worth of videos shot in RAW, 2.5K RAW, used about 10 gigabytes of hard drive space. That's right, 10 gig for 1.56 minutes of raw footage, and that's an absolute fact. I had it on here. I've done 1 minute 56 worth of video, uploaded it to my workstation. Yeah, 10 gig. It takes a hell of a lot of space if you're shooting in RAW, and that's what you want it for. You really want to shoot in RAW, and that's why you buy these cameras. ProRes is not too bad. I think it worked out about 1.5 gig for 1 minute 56 worth of video in ProRes, which is a lot more doable. You can get a lot more footage, and it still looks stunning. ProRes is insanely cool, and you can get a lot more footage on shooting in ProRes, shall I say, than you can getting into RAW 2.5K, which is insane. 2.5K is absolutely insane. So that's the first factor that a lot of people miss out on. They think, right, I get this camera to take to Disneyland and hold it in my hand, sorted. This is not for taking around Disneyland. This is not a sort of point and shoot, go on holiday camera with thing. This is a professional cinema camera. This is for shooting feature films, or short films. It's as simple as that. Second thing people don't take into consideration is when you buy this unit, it only comes with the body. It never comes with a lens. So you have to invest in lenses. Lenses, for instance, this model is an EF mount Canon, can take any Canon lens. And in order to achieve the full potential of this camera, you have to invest in decent lenses. Yes, cheap lenses will work, but you're not going to get the full benefit. Say, for instance, if you're using a Zeiss a prime cinema lens, for instance, you put a prime cinema lens on this and you're laughing. This lens on it at the moment is a 28 to 100 millimeter lens, and this lens on its own was like 800 quid. And this is an okay lens. It's an okay lens. It's not a top of the range lens. For a Zeiss lens, for cinematic shooting, you're looking the best part of 1 to 2,000, maybe £3,000, maybe more, for a lens like that. So that's another thing a lot of people don't take into consideration, is the lenses. Also, the mounting system of this rig, this camera. You can hold this camera, but it's not made to be handheld. It's not made. You really need a cage for this, or a rig, which is another point of why taking a whole rig around Disneyland, you're going to look pathetic. I have a rig which will be coming in a future video of this camera, probably coming in the next video of this camera, which would be great, showing you the full setup of the rig. But I do like to take this with just a cage, a simple hand grip and a cage, because I don't want to carry like loads of stuff on location with me. I really don't want a whole camera rig like that on my shoulder, even though sometimes it's needed to put all your bits and bobs on it, like your battery packs, your external monitors, your audio recorders, so on and so on. It's needed. I don't really like to shoot like that. When I'm shooting with this, I like to shoot like this, to be perfectly honest, because it's clean and it's simple. Attach the audio to the talent with a boom pole, shoot like this. But we will be going over in future videos the various ways you can shoot with this camera and the potential it has at certain angles, so on and so on. I think you get what I'm saying. So yeah, it's not a consumer camera, it's a professional camera. So like I just said, I mean, a lot of people sell these on eBay for like 1,500 quid, 1,300 quid, body only. But yeah, by the time you kit this out, you're well into the £3,000–4,000 mark, maybe more. To get this to professional standard, to get this camera to professional standard, you're looking about £6–7 grand, easy. If you want like professional Zeiss cinema lenses or professional Canon lenses, Canon glass on this, you're looking at serious money. So it's not one of them cameras to go out and buy because you want a decent camera to take to Disneyland. It just doesn't work like that. For a start, holding this is near enough impossible, especially when you've got the sun hood on it. You can't hold this. And for a start, if you try and hold it and film with it, you're going to get unstable shots. Your shots are going to be shaking because the body's quite. One, it's a heavy camera as well. This actually weighs quite a bit, and two, the way hands grip on it. Yeah, unless you've got ultimate steady hands, which no one ever has, your shots are going to be really, really shaky. So another point is, when you shot with this camera, it's the post-production work that needs to go into it, okay? So it needs to be graded. If you're shooting in 2.5K RAW, you want to shoot in a flat profile so you can grade it in DaVinci Resolve or your color grading tool. Software. My workflow normally is, I'll drop it all, the footage all into DaVinci. I do my noise reduction and my basic grade. Then I bring it over, I export it as an XML, bring it over into Premiere Pro, do all my edit the way I want, and then re-import it for the final grade into DaVinci, and then export from there job done. And that's the way I work. This is not a 2-minute, you know, get your footage, record it, and then show it to people. This is not the way this camera works. If you think about getting this camera because of that, it's not the way it works. It takes a lot of work to get the footage looking cinematic and looking good. Yes, when you record on it, when you record with the camera, the image quality in 2.5K RAW and even in ProRes is fucking outstanding. Sorry about my swearing, but it's true. It's absolutely insanely cool. The picture quality is amazing, but it's what you've got to do in post-production to get it looking really good. So yeah, so that's the first sort of part of this video overview. Next, in a few minutes, we'll be going out of location to film outside, and then we'll be doing some filming, and then we'll be looking at the camera system, the menu system, so on and so on, what this sort of thing does, and what this can do for your film work. So yes, let's get the hell out of here. Right, so I've come outside to do a bit of video work. I was going to go over the park, which is over there, but it's a bit overcast, and I'm just thinking, knowing my luck, I'll sort of take this to the park, and it's not raining. So we're shooting out here on my balcony, waiting for delivery as well, which is cool, which is a MacBook Pro, which I can't wait for. So I'm going to try and get some shots with this outside. And a couple of things I didn't mention in the previous segment of this video is that battery life. Battery life is poor on this system, and obviously reflection as well. It's very difficult to go into manual focus at the moment and see if I can get this sorted. Battery life is quite poor. About 90 minutes runtime with this, which is not too bad if you're just doing something quick and simple. But battery pack is quite an important part of this camera, and yeah, battery packs are needed, to be perfectly honest. So I'll show you this menu system in more detail in a second when we go back inside, but I'm just going to set this up to shoot the way I want it to shoot. It's also a very, very reflective screen, this, so I'm going to record in ProRes 422 at the moment, and then I will show the footage of this on the screen in a second while we're doing this video. But yeah, the sun is not very good, it's very glary. I mean, it's like a mirror, to be perfectly honest, so you really need something to sort of, you know, cover you sort of this bit up so you can see what you're doing, but still it's workable, so that's great. So I'm just going to figure out what's going on here, because for some reason my screen's white. So I'm just going to power it down and then power it back on. And just try and see what's going on here. Well, I've got it, but my white balance is all off, so I'm going to have to do my auto iris. I've got it sort of recording in a flat profile at the moment, which is my manual focus. Very, very difficult to see what you're shooting, but it has got a focus peaking button. If you press that, it will give you your peaks. I'm just going to take this off so I can sort of bend it down like that. Right, so go back into the menu system quickly, and I'm just going to go to my settings and set my ISO down, because my ISO now is on about 1600, which is not meant to be. Kelvin's okay. That's a bit better, I suppose. Loosen this up. Yeah, it literally is like a mirror, this thing. So it's very sort of difficult to see what you're doing. You definitely need a sun hood for this, like, to cover yourself up, because blimmin' hell does it. Yeah, so I'm just recording at the moment some footage of downstairs, and I'm just going to pan the camera around and get this car going past. Definitely need a cover, shall I say, to cover yourself up, like a jacket or something, because it really does, if it's sunny, show reflection you can hardly see what's going on the screen, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, but there's sort of ways around it. A lot of people just sort of cover the whole thing with a jacket, but I am recording in a log at the moment, so hopefully we can get that, put that to autofocus at the moment. Put it down. Oh, and when it's in autofocus mode, you can hear the motors go, which is cool. I've got some great peaking there. The peaking basically shows with green outline. When you press the focus button, the peaking shows a green edging, which is cool. And I'm just going to pan up, even though I can't see what I'm doing because it's so reflective. So obviously not the most ideal sort of shots I can get, but obviously an example of sort of, you know, the quality of this camera, because it is insane. And I'm just going to pan around here. Right, so you can see the screen's like a mirror. It literally is like a mirror. So you do need, might have to order a sun hood for this to cover myself up. I'm just going to get a picture of the, or some video of the Crystal Palace Tower there, if there's any Crystal Palace football fans out there, which is great. The peaking is insane, I must admit. Everything is green because it's all in focus. If it's not in green, then you're out of focus. Got some parrots going on up here. I don't know if I can get them on the screen. They're all flying over there. I don't know if we just got them in shot. Right, so, and yeah, like I've just said, I mean, the visual quality of this camera is just insane. Now, obviously, you know, this is not going to be the most perfect footage in the world, but that'll come when we shoot our short film, Schizophrenia, which is cool. But it's going to give you a rough idea of what we're sort of playing around with here, footage-wise. Not the best panning. Got a plane going on up there at the moment. Don't know if you can hear that. It's just above me. Yeah, shooting at ISO 400 at the moment, which is not too bad. Little tip for you guys, because of the weight, this is top heavy, you can just sort of put this there and let go and just guide it down, get a shot. 3 minutes 10 of recording. I will show the file sizes of that once it's done. We are shooting in ProRes, which is cool. I won't shoot in RAW, but I will do a dedicated video based around the RAW footage workflow of this camera, as a tutorial, shall I say. So, we're going to get back inside in a sec and go over the menu system. Right, so we're in the camera menu system at the moment, and you can just see how reflective the screen is just by me recording this section here. So I do apologise about that, there's nothing I can do about it, but hopefully you're going to get a rough idea of what's going on within this menu system. So at the top here we've got the metadata, and this is basically where you're going to enter all the details of each take or each scene you do. So it's really planned out really well. You can name the project, reel, scene, shot, take and angle, which is cool. Okay, here we've got settings, and this is the overall settings for the camera in general. This is where you're going to set up your ISO, your white balance, your shutter angle, all that good stuff. Quite straightforward, nothing too intense about this menu. Very easy to sort of control and set up. Just below it we have the audio meters, or the audio volume for your channel inputs. Obviously you can put a microphone into this BMCC, which is great. And you can use an external recorder with this Blackmagic Cinema camera as well, which is very cool. So very straightforward. We've got our channel inputs. I will go over the side connections in a second for you guys, so you can see exactly what connections you've got, so on and so on. So below that you've got your recording formats. So we can record in 2.5K RAW, ProRes HQ, ProRes 422, ProRes LT, ProRes Proxy, DNX HD, and 2.5K RAW again. And then you've got your dynamic range. So if I set it to film in this recording format, it's going to record in a flat profile, which is going to allow me to pull that all that detail from that amazing 30 stops of dynamic range. But if you just want to see what it's like in log. You can't, because when you record in 2.5K RAW, it uses that full 13 stops of dynamic range, which basically means you're only set in the dynamic range to film. So frame rates, we've got 24, 25, 29.97, 30 frames per second, and all that good stuff. Below we've got time lapse, so we've got a time lapse on this system, which is great. And below this we've got our display features, so we can reduce our brightness to whatever you want on the camera. Obviously the lower it is, the better it's going to be for battery life. Dynamic range, film and video, so we can look at our dynamic range and see what the overall picture was going to look like in the viewer, which is great. So I'm just going to click on menu, come out of there, and when you highlight all these, this is what you want to show. So if I turn off focus peaking, it won't show up focus peaking when I go back to the main, or to the viewer, shall I say. So here's a viewer in general. Like I've just said, I'm sorry about the glare in here. Just trying to move it around, you can see me in the background. But the great thing is with this, if you just go back to the menu, so if I tap on it, I can add the metadata in for that particular scene, which is great. And then we've got fig focus peaking, so if I just hold that and press that down, it'll autofocus. That's only if you've got an autofocus a lens built onto your system. And then we've got iris control, which helps with iris as well. At the top, obviously we've got all our settings: ready, time, format we're recording in, 1350p frame rate, our f1, our ISO, our shutter angle, our Kelvin, and our battery life at 75%. Here we've got our audio meters down the bottom and our peaking as well. So very, very cool. I remember when I first released this camera, there was a lot of stuff missing from it, but because it's got built-in computer inside, it's great. You can just update it when Blackmagic bring out the latest update for this camera. So this camera's fully updatable, so you can get all this audio meters, so on and so on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump over to DaVinci Resolve, and we're going to import some footage, which is cool, and just see how I grade that very, very quickly. This is the footage we shot outside earlier, and basically we'll just go from there. So once again, I do apologise about the glare on the screen. It's going to give you a rough idea how much glare the screen takes. You do need to get a sun hood for it to cover that reflectivity of the screen, but still it's workable and it's good. So let's just jump over to DaVinci Resolve. Right, so we are in ScreenFlow at the moment, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my SSD via an external adapter, so you can see that come up, and then you're going to be able to see exactly what's going on when we plug in the adapter, the SSD. So my hard drives come up here, and I've got one bit of footage here, which is my Blackmagic Cinema Camera footage that I shot outside. What it's going to look like, I don't know, guys, but I'm simply going to copy that to my desktop. As you can see by that file, it's 3.25 gigabytes. I don't know how much time we recorded in, but we're going to check that when we bring that into DaVinci anyway. So while that's loading, I am going to open up DaVinci Resolve. When I was copying to my desktop. And this is sort of similar to the workflow I usually use, but this is sort of like the first part, if that makes sense. So we're just going to have a look what's going on. I think I shot this in flat. I hope I shot this in flat. So yeah, so new project. I'm just going to open it up like so, and we're just waiting for our footage to come over at the moment. So we're just going to simply wait for that. And what I'm going to do is I am going to come up to my media pool and search for where my where I sent the video footage. So I sent it to my desktop. Hopefully it's there now. Not there yet. We're just waiting. So let's just hide DaVinci for now. Still copying over, as you can see. Pretty hefty files. I mean, this is shot in ProRes. This is not even in 2.5K RAW. So it's going to give you an idea of how sort of heavy the footage is, really. So let's open up DaVinci, go back to here, go back to desktop, and let's find where it's gone. This is the video for the tutorial. So we may need to restart DaVinci. Right, so here's the footage here, because it's not picked it up. Let's open up DaVinci again. And wait for that. To do noise reduction, you do need Studio. I do know that the Elite version of DaVinci Resolve 14 does not do noise reduction, so please remember that. You need Studio. Right, so let's try again, shall we? So let's go to Media Data and go to my SSD or my desktop. Desktop, and there's my footage there. So here's my footage, sort of shot in a flat profile, not too bad. So I'm going to right click and add that to media pool. My focusing's a bit off there because of I couldn't see a blooming thing, but you're going to get a rough idea. Now this does, Blackmagic Cinema Camera does record audio, but it's only scratch audio. So please remember that. Don't use it as your final what's it called? As your final audio. Right. So let's just go to a point where we can see something nice. Just playing around with it. Let's just grade this as it is. Okay. So we're going to jump into color, and as you can see here, we've got our footage, which is actually 1 minute 48 seconds long, and that was 3.5 gig. But still stunning, stunning, really cool. So down here is our noise reduction. So I'm going to put it on a single frame. I'm going to put the top one to about 2, and straight away the noise has been removed. As you can see, the noise looks pretty cool. So let's go over to our color grade, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the reds up, bring the greens up, and bring the blues up to the top, like so. I need to go back to here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that one last time. So I'm going to create a serial node for that, and that one I'm going to do the same. Reds up, greens up, and blues up as well. So that I would sort of class as my my first grade, and then I can play around with the curves, so on and so on, bump it up a bit. That would be my first grade. Nothing serious. We can play around with the offset if we want, so I can bring the offset down a touch, bring the grain maybe up a bit, bring my gamma down, and bring my lifts up, down, sorry. And instantly, that's a hell of a lot better than what it was. So if we sort of scroll through now to these trees, as you can see, doesn't look too bad at all. The grade is looking nice. Now normally what I'll do is just bring the curves up slightly, so as you can see, we're getting a lot more detail in the leaves, shall I say, and maybe we might need to do a little bit more noise reduction, so we can simply go back and play with our noise reduction here. So let's go sort of 1, put that to 2, put our luma to 2. As you can see, the noise is coming away. Bring our chroma up to a little bit, maybe push this to about 15. And as you can see there, it really is, the 13 stops of dynamic range in this camera is insane. And remember, we are not even recording in RAW here, we're recording in ProRes. So that is the look at the Blackmagic Cinema camera. I hope you found this video helpful in some way. We're going to do a quick little rundown now of some of the things you need to remember if you want to purchase this camera. Obviously cost of running it, cost of adapting it, things like batteries, which are very important. This thing only records up to 90 minutes on the internal battery inside. Yep, cost of lenses. It needs to be rigged without a doubt. It needs to be on a decent tripod, because obviously this thing weighs a bit, so don't be putting this on a tripod that costs a couple of quid. Invest in your tripod, invest in a rig, stabilization rigs, gimbals, whatever you want to throw at this camera is going to be needed for full featured productions. So that's basically it, guys. So if you have enjoyed this video, a like rating would definitely be loved. And as always, if you're not subscribed to the Film It VFX Studio channel, YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell next to it for notifications. It'll let you know when I've got new videos coming to the channel. And we're going to be seeing plenty more of this camera in the not too distant future, along with the MFT version of it as well. We're going to be doing a video on that. Even though they're virtually identical, it's just the mounting system is different. I prefer the Canon version, the EF version, over the MFT. I don't know why, that's just my taste. And yeah, plenty more videos coming on this camera in the not too distant future. We have still got the behind the scenes and the filming of my short film Schizophrenia, which we will be using this camera to film. Sorry, I just knocked the tripod there, I do apologise. And plenty more stuff coming about this camera in the not too distant future. So as always, guys, thanks for listening, and as always, definitely catch you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.
Da 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 da.